Hello, this is the third video in the series about the bullwhip effect in this course of supply chain. In this video we're going to discuss the causes specifically of what generates the bullwhip effect and what we can do to avoid it. As I mentioned before, this is one of the most important topics in supply chain, and we will start now. First, we can discuss the structural causes for the bullwhip effect. The first one is lack of organization. When companies are not organized and their operations are not integrated as a single system, that generates a conflict of interest and or a conflict of goals, and that generates these effects. There is lack of communication, and the solution to this problem usually is to implement information systems, including ERP systems and other systems that would allow you to stay communicated in real time. These systems avoid the delay that we discussed in the previous videos. It is known that Walmart has satellites that actually are implemented so the orders at each one of the stores are recorded and sent to the centralized information at the corporate headquarters several times during the day, all with the purpose of sharing that information with the suppliers and trying to avoid the consequences of a bullwhip effect. Policies that include free return generate issues, so quality it's a major concern, and so the customers do not need to have returns. Order batching we discussed, and the order batching has to do with the fact that we have high cost to set up, whether we're talking about manufacturing or we're talking about shipments. If there is a fixed cost associated to it, then there is a strong incentive to batch the orders, and simply the best way to go about it is to work on the cost of these setups, and there are specific methodologies. We're going to discuss a little bit of those in some of the other videos, and this is the single minute exchange of die and other similar techniques with the purpose of reducing the size of the batches, and that's part of the just-in-time methodology and the idea of having lots of size 1. Price variation generates incentives along the supply chains for the different players to accumulate inventory bought at cheaper prices, and so they can actually sell it at larger prices when the price change happens. So the speculation about the prices changing naturally will generate the bullwhip effect along the supply chain for the different players. And the demand forecast information, when the demand is estimated by a forecast instead of a real information, the real demand as it's happening, then we're incurring problems. We may incur problems because all forecasts are just going to be an estimation. That's not what's really happening. And the main idea of having a forecast is because we cannot produce the product with agility enough to respond to what is actually happening. And however, the current technologies are allowing us to have a better, more agile response. Some of the causes for the bullwhip effect to happen are behavioral, that it's related to the way humans interact and how humans react to the situation. One is the case of the base stock policies, that it's how much should we keep in order to be able to supply, and then if those base stock policies are not adjusted to the real demand and are given more importance than the actual demand, that is it is easier for someone who's scheduling production how much to produce, design that type of information, to go with the local information about how much they have in inventory as something more complicated to estimate, which is the real demand. We also have a problem with misperceptions of feedback and then time delays. When we have these delays, that generates a large problem, and we're going to have a special lesson on that situation. That has to do with the fact that uncertainty motivates us to have safety inventories, and because we need to provide service, or we need to be prepared for situations out of the ordinary. If that out of the ordinary includes the lack of reliability of how long will it take for us to receive the product, then that's a major concern, and that affects the amount of inventory that we need to have, and therefore generates again more of the bullwhip effect. We have the panic of ordering reaction after unmet demand, trying to compensate for what we had in the past, and that's generates a problem. And there is a perceived risk of other players' bounded rationality. In fact, people that are risk averse perform worse in the supply chains with bullwhip behavior than those that are that prefer to have a higher level of risk. So it is interesting how our own attempts at trying to control the problem actually generates more of the same problem. There are other more operational causes, that is depending on the demand processing, for instance, the type of forecast errors that we will have naturally as a consequence of the current technologies available for forecasting, and also the parameters that define how much inventory we should have. We have lead time variability and the errors associated with the lead time variability. Particularly lead time variability, the issue is, imagine that you are promised that you're going to have deliveries every week, but you have a vendor that promises you to give you the same product but only in 4 days, but with more variability. Usually what happens in situations like that is that you end up losing, because now you need to protect for the fact that the person who promised more frequent deliveries every 4 days instead of once a week, because you need to be prepared for when he cannot, or the person cannot deliver when he promised. Now you need to be prepared for those situations, and to compensate for that you need safety inventory extra that overcomes the safety that you would have, or the savings that you would have by having more frequent deliveries. So one way that I heard somebody deal with this was to say, please go slow because I'm in a hurry. And usually that has to do with the fact that you don't want someone hurry up because they could have an accident and then it would take longer. Well, it's a similar case with this situation, in which it's better to have a more reliable, consistent delivery time window, as opposed to something that is more rushed, but at the same time less predictable. We have the lot sizing, order, and synchronization, and that has to do with exactly what we did in the simulation model, with consolidation of demands and transactions and quantity discounts. Some of the things that currently are happening to avoid this is companies that do not compete are starting to share their logistic resources. So, for instance, a manufacturer of tires would ship, say, shampoo along with their tires, in a coordinated effort by companies that do not compete in the same markets, in order to deliver more frequently and reduce the effect of the bullwhip effect, and still delivering, for the most part, full load trucks across longer distances. Also, some of the preferred strategies from marketing and sales is to have quantity discounts, but companies that are aware of the bullwhip effect and the cost for the organization very frequently avoid that altogether. That is the case of Walmart, in which the slogan is actually low prices every day. We have trade, promotion, and forward buying generated by prices. We discussed that, and other things. And anticipation of shortages when we have issues associated with unreliable supply chain. So those would be operational causes for the bullwhip effect to happen.